Okay, do you want me to take point on this one, or do you want to take point on this one?
Oh, sorry, I was watching a YouTube video.
What were you watching?
What?
What were you
Uh,
watching?
uh, some Fate stuff.
Uh,
Just like a clip.
just getting yourself pumped up. That's like your
No, I was just
routine.
clicking. No, I'm just looking at the fucking YouTube front page and be like, oh, I'll watch that.
Oh, you mean
Oh, I'll
the
watch
poor
this.
man's TikTok algorithm?
Well, I, you can hear if I'm looking at TikTok. If I'm watching this YouTube video, you have no idea.
All right,
They're
you're
just
fired. No, you're fired.
just showing me like fucking, look at this Sakura versus Shin from Baruto, or some Hunter x Hunter stuff, or Hunter x Hunter, whatever the fuck. I didn't watch it.
I thought I just heard a bird. Was there a bird in the background of your?
Yeah, the window's open.
Oh, okay. Well, we're live.
But is any of us really living, Chris?
I mean, if I was alive, I think I would feel things.
You know, like the thing is like, it's like, oh, it's a beautiful day outside. Wish I was happy.
Oh man, we're starting this one on a positive note. Like, there's a real high note for episode 5 of the P3cast. Should we announce our upcoming changes?
Why did you not bring this up before?
It just came to me, all right? I'm in the flow zone.
Okay, so are you gonna do everything like before the podcast comes out, or we're just like, this is gonna happen in the future?
No, I
we're
think
gonna be super vague.
I want to be.
Like,
I want to be. I want to be
changes.
I want to be vague about.
I want to be.
I am a bee. I'm a bee.
Yeah.
No, I think we should be vague. I think we should do like the local band Big Things Are Coming. So, guys, big things are coming in the future. Look out.
But it's not Chris because he's small.
Oh, no, we are. I have to have a crane installed. We talked about this, all right? The lore.
Yeah, get your fat ass out of the house.
Oh, man. No, I've actually lost 5 pounds in the last week.
Why, Chris? Why don't you tell the audience?
Because of terrible gastrointestinal problems. Because I'm old and my body chemistry is changing. I used to be super regular, like, for the super personal part of the P3 podcast. I'm a daily guy. Wake up in the morning, exude what what I
extrude like you're fucking
I'm a jelly
Play-Doh.
donut, from the day before. And, I'm good for the rest of the day. And I'm on a once a week schedule right now, and it's not good. It's very not comfortable. And
But they say any time between once a day to 3 times a week is normal.
I'm on once every 7 days, and super, super, painful, not fun. A myriad of other complicating things, and I'm also stuck in the bureaucratic hell that is the American healthcare system, so...
Chris has Obamacare.
It's called main care here. It's not a. It's
No, I believe it's called Main-Cal because it's called Medi-Cal. No, Main-Cal.
Oh, okay. This is a Wheeligator thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it was Main-Cal because in Florida, had fucking, it was just called Oscar and they didn't call it Oscar, and I'm like, what? What is wrong with them? Like, it was right there. Like, it was just such low-hanging fruit. They opted not to do it.
They don't have writers in Florida. Are you kidding? They would actually have to pay a creative person to live there.
So Chris is dying. And then we'll give you what you guys all really want. It's just a podcast with me. Very intimate. I'll just respond to your guys. You guys just leave a comment. I'll just respond to your comments. Just try to roast you.
I mean, you could do that now. Nothing is stopping you from participating more.
Well, some of us are out there trying to save the world, not just trying to consume everything.
I will consume
like
the world.
Others.
Consume.
But from the butt first.
It's the only way to do it, all right?
So anyway, some changes probably by the next podcast, right? Is that like a good timeline for you?
Yeah, that's what I would think. I can do it in the next month. That was my plan anyway. The big part was like working on the logos, and We've been going through quite the debate and back and forth about trying to figure out the logos. But once that gets figured out, the rest is just, uploading and switching a few things. Though I think the old media will still say P3 podcast because I'm not going to re-upload the videos because it'll take away all of our view counts and all of our statistics.
But we could rename the channel, right?
Yeah,
Actually, I have the channel.
Well, then we'd have to move everything to the other channel, which is the same thing. We lose all of our progress.
Do I have it? Hang on, let me double check.
All right,
Because I'm almost positive I have the channel.
pausing.
Well,
Unpause.
give yourself some kind of signal.
I said pause, so I know it paused. I paused a while back. So this is the unpause.
But that first one was the faux pause, right? Like the fake pause.
The faux pause.
And this is this was the faux unpause. Right?
I'm lost. There's too much French.
Anyways, you guys don't know what just happened, but we had a whole separate conversation without you.
Haha, you'll never be cool like us.
I mean, I wasn't trying to say that you're cool. I think you're cool, but Chris doesn't.
I want to be an elite club. I want to have I want to thumb my nose at the
like
peons.
You mean the longest, the number of days gone without pooping?
That is definitely the elite club that I belong to.
You're gonna be pooping 50 times in a year. I don't think that's a club you want to be in.
It's the bicentennial club, all right? 500 poops in 10 years. That's what we're getting to.
Oh my god. So we're just gonna jump into it. We're gonna talk about Demon Slayer like right away.
Yeah, I say we get into it. I mean, I've dropped all the other animes. I've been trying to watch them, but I don't know if it's just not having time or like I'm also watching a bunch of other stuff, and I don't know. It's not like I don't have time. I just don't.
Yeah. You haven't worked in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't have the attention span to read subtitles and watch something.
Is it because you're kind of, there's something else that's affecting you?
It could be, but like, I don't know. I just haven't had the attention span. But Demon Slayer, we have both been still watching because you haven't been watching anything else this season yet either, huh?
I've been trying to keep up on Hell's Paradise, but I bet I'm 4 episodes behind, and I haven't watched Heavenly Delusion since like the 3rd episode.
Yeah, I'm like 4 behind on Heavy Delusion, Heavy DJBB, and I think I'm 1 or 2 behind on Hell's Paradise.
I mean, I've been seeing clips; it looks good, but yeah, Demon Slayer. We spoils. Put your spoiler thing on the screen.
All right, here it is
Chris.
right now. Spoiler time.
So, Muchiro killed the 5th one, right? It was number 5?
The jar guy.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm not alone in this because we've kind of already talked about it, but like, it was kind of a little unsatisfying.
I think we talked a little bit, or if you're, watch the channel or you're familiar with what we like and don't like about anime, it is getting a little bit Deus Ex Machina, especially with the okay, now we're the chosen ones with the flames on our face, and it's getting a little ass pully. I mean, it still looks great, but
Chris doesn't know about the Slayer's Mark stuff, and I knew about it already. I just didn't know that he was gonna do it, and then it was just like, oh, this is just like going Super Saiyan. This is what just happened. And then the fight ended super abruptly. And you're just like,
Yeah, I mean, it's... The problem is like, we'd seen not Hashiras, what are the demons called?
Upper Moons?
The Upper Moons, yeah. We'd seen 2 of the Upper Moons fight already and kill 2 Hashiras. Or at least kill one... rest in peace from Goku. Oh, and brutally maim the other, right? And so it's like, and not only that, these upper moons, these upper rank demons, like the arc for them was insane. And so it was like you had all of this build up to finally see them, and then they were so powerful that it felt like the odds were always against our heroes. And we had talked in the previous podcast about how
they were gonna have to rapidly escalate things because there's only so much time left.
Exactly, yeah. It'd have to balance itself out that way.
and I feel like this was the first fight, like once he like was fully fighting him, where it felt like he was just styling on him.
Totally,
Like,
yeah.
and he was just like, "Oh, did you think you were the only one who wasn't taking this seriously?" You're just like, Jesus Christ.
You're like, is this Vegeta? What is going on?
And like after the backstory of his like, oh yeah, my brother died right in front of me. I held his hand as he died, and there were maggots crawling into our wounds.
Well, okay, so I thought that they were going to do something more complicated with that. I thought it was going to be like he repressed his death of his brother, right? And so he created a split personality where the violent side of his personality had to be separated from his other side. And it was going to be like, so his brother wasn't even real, you know? I was looking way deeper into it. So,
No, it was just straight up lack of motivation.
yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know, like I and then like the end of the episode has Mitsuri doing the same kind of shit.
I was just about to say that. That was what I was going to bridge to, too, is because Mitsuri, they're not having any troubles. It's too easy for them.
Like, and if it was this easy, why are they not trying to kill them more proactively?
And why would they
Like,
send lower level Hashiras that would die in the place? Like, why waste the manpower if you're gonna like? Why send Tanjiro and all these kids if you've got this chick that can swing a whip around and destroy anything that like even comes close to her?
yeah, like it makes me wonder, like, what's gonna happen towards the end because it's like are these the top three, which I know are much stronger than the other three?
Yeah.
Like like I know you couldn't have known that Akaza was there, but it feels really shitty that you sent him out there and then he died and then fucking these two are gonna go down like really easily.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It could be the characters we're with right now. Like maybe it's like, okay, this is the palette cleanse episode or season. But my favorite one has been the sword maker. When he got his mask ripped off, that's been my favorite part of the season. Where it's like, oh no, he's hot, and then he's like getting whipped in the back, and he's still like just focused on the sword, like dialed in. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. I liked that.
I know that they have to keep escalating for this season, and I'm wondering where it goes.
Yeah, me too. I need to see, like, are they, because, like, they have two options, right? It's either a quick resolve with Mitsuri killing this four-headed dragon thing, right? Or it's going to be an incredibly labored resolve with them trying to kill this four-headed dragon thing. And if it's a quick resolve, it's going to have either a lot of arcing or character development or, like, slice-of-life stuff in the back end of the season, which doesn't make sense as far as how the pacing has been so far. Or it's going to be like immediately to another demon that we didn't know was there, in which case I feel like it's the same problem. We're going through these upper rank demons too quickly.
Yeah, and then it's like the only one above would be Akaza's number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what are they gonna do? Like, I'm a little apprehensive about where they go. Like, I know that the fight between those two was really drawn out, but it didn't feel drawn out at the end. Like, I think the comment about him not taking it seriously really gets rid of any kind of, character growth we're really talking about. Like, there's the character arc doesn't seem very satisfying.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's very tropey. It's very much something that happens in animes where it's like I've awoken my inner power at the apex of my stress, and without it, I wasn't even taking it seriously. And it's like, what, dude? You just almost died. You like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll have more commentary. I assume this. I don't know if the season will wrap by the next episode, but you'll see what our thoughts are then.
mm-hmm. Did we already get a mid-season finale? Did that happen?
I don't even know we're getting it mid-season. I don't. I just watched the episodes, dog.
I don't think it's gotten a mid-season. I think we're on 8, so 12 is mid-season. If it's going to be a full season.
But I mean, part of the reason we've sort of been taking these anime by the wayside is like the games we've been kind of playing recently, though, right?
Yeah, I think there's been a couple games that have been taking up a lot of your time.
Well, I mean, You're the one addicted over there. So
We both say that, but like we're like arguing over which games we play daily more. And it's I've been playing Marvel Snap, so it's like I have to have something with a daily and a random like oh man, we almost just got crashed in by a slam zone here. He said he was gonna crash the podcast. Sorry, what was I talking about?
we're talking about Marvel Snap.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I'll keep it brief about Marble Snap. You have 3 zones. You're trying to get the highest power at each zone. Each zone has a random element that affects the cards within it. The cards are incredibly basic. They're like barely 2 lines of dialogue on each card, and or dialogue instructions.
X.
Text, that's what it is. Yeah, 2 lines of text on each card, right? And it's like there's 3 or 4 main mechanics that you can play off of. And so it's like it's the most basic game I've played in a long time. But for some
But
reason
I heard that like part of the thing is that the games are very short.
they're super short, and you can retreat from a game at any time too. So it's like there's not a lot of commitment to it. And you have
and if you know Poster Ghost, problems with commitment.
yeah, exactly. All right. I mean, to segue easily with problems with commitment, we can talk a little bit about Magic the Gathering if you want. I mean,
What do you mean?
you used to have a commitment problem with Magic the Gathering. Actually, you were good at it. I don't know if it's a commitment problem if you're good at it.
No, I just said, I had a limited amount of time. School was more important. That's all that happened. I still
Yeah.
follow it, but I don't really like. I haven't played in at least a few years.
What was the last set that you played? Do you remember?
The dinosaur one.
Oh yeah, okay. The one with the raptor, frenzied raptor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Ixalan?
Yeah.
Yeah,
S-
that was
s-
the last time I played.
So I didn't start playing until it went to Magic the Gathering Arena, and he pretty much stopped like right before Magic the Gathering Arena started. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, like it was coming out and people were still playing Moto, Magic the Gathering Online.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just never really got into Moto because the interface sucks. I still think
It
the
does
interface
suck.
sucks.
Yeah.
But I just Arena and like the idea. I didn't really like Hearthstone and going through that process of I don't want to spend time opening packs or like randomization. Like I just want the cards to build the deck. Like I was a I was a tournament player for I mean barely. I was a tournament player like barely for a little while, but it just wasn't it just wasn't what I was interested in too. I think as you get older, your hobbies get more expensive, and that's kind of what's happened to me. Um, and the entry to Magic the Gathering and paper was just getting to be too ridiculous. Like you were talking between $500 and $1,000 to play a relevant deck,
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
and like the days of me doing that are just behind me.
Yeah, I mean, I never got into the paper collecting either, but that's just for the same reason. It was at the price point. I was, as far as card games went, I was like a casual collector as a kid. You know, everyone had a Pokemon binder, right? Um,
Well,
but
I think that what makes Marvel Snap like really accessible, like there's, I understand that you can be really into comics,
mhm,
right?
yep,
And like like it's Pokemon or something like that and collect them, but it's all about really the quick games, right? Like all you're trying to do is escalate through the ranks so you can
right.
get access to the higher level cards, as opposed to Magic where it's set based and they're releasing all this stuff like
Yeah, that
every 2-3 months, right? You have like basically a full reset.
that's what's burning me out on it, honestly. It's such a chore to keep up with because, like, so, you know, you're not investing your money when you play online, you're investing your time, which means I have to play every day. I participate in the drafts. And if I participate in the drafts and play every day, I then can invest the time into the in-game currency. I mean, it's a really nice format, and I feel like the interface for the Magic the Gathering arena is super clean. Like, I really enjoy playing it, and I'm not complaining about the game at all. I'm more or less complaining about the culture of a card game with a rotating set and the difficulty of
Yeah,
keeping up with it.
what is the gameplay loop that you
Yeah,
have to deal with
yeah,
is really a problem. And I think when I shifted between the two, it got to be I think there was a change in their research and development um, group, and it went from being more about trading and like resources and stuff like that, where now it is how much can you two for one your opponent. Like that is
yeah,
100% what it is, and it is all about attrition. And two for oneing means that card power level went way up,
yeah. It's
and it's
crazy.
sort of what is the word where they make all the old cards obsolete? I forgot. Oh, gentrification of the old cards.
Man, gentrification. That's a yeah. I mean, I definitely can understand that because well, there are some old card sets that are like, oh man, you can never play that. You know, like our band cards and everything like that. But like, it's exactly like that. I mean, when I play, it's like, okay, what's the 3 or 4 best cards in the set, and then every single deck is built around those 3 or 4 cards, or you know, or it's a control deck. Like it's your choice is to either play the 4 best cards in the set or play a control deck, and it's just gotten so tiring that I don't know. It's
Like
not some.
I feel go
I
ahead,
was just
sorry.
say it's just not something I'm really interested in, and I feel like even like because I wanted to talk about Wizards of the Coast and them doing their sets because like the sets are cool. I really enjoy the artwork, and it's I hate complaining about Magic because it is a really cool game with a really like huge background and community and all of that stuff like that. But I mean, I'm just getting so burnt out on it.
I feel like when you're playing a game like that, it has to be like your main thing,
Hmm.
right? Like it's really difficult for at our age to be spread that thin,
Yeah.
to be doing, it's not like you're at school and you're doing this during your lunch, right? Like you're
Hmm.
just on your phone, you're like doing your dailies real quick, or you're in between periods and you're just like playing like a quick game real quick. Like that's not how it is, and it's like I have to be present when I play these things, and we just don't have the time. Like like I said, I watch Magic streams every day. Like when I come home and I'm like either eating or I'm trying to relax, I'm watching like one of like 3 or 4 Magic streamers. Because I'm interested in the game and I like watching the game, but taking the time of having to craft a deck, like work through that, the hours it takes to do that
Hmm.
is not something I'm willing to devote my time to anymore.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There are like 3 core decks I always build. I always build a big stompy green, a black control, and a red rush. And I can most of the time get through every meta in some way by doing that. But I'm not playing at the top level or anything like that. I'm just playing it for fun. And when you're just playing it for fun, it kind of loses its spark.
Well, and like the way they're trying to do things, like trying to take all these not necessarily they don't necessarily have to be third party because it's not all third party, but including them in sets and then like how disruptive they can be to the meta. Like I know there were a couple of cards in the past when um I can't remember what it was, but they were like this card is just insane. Like this is just going to disrupt everything by itself.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it feels like a cash grab,
Hmm.
right? Like you're just trying to sell packs and it's about making money.
Speaking
And I'm
of
not
which,
saying well, no, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
this is a good segue into the Lord of the Rings set, and I've been looking at it. There's a lot of cool cards,
Yeah, I
but
really like the cards too. It's just like there's no way you can afford it at this point. I mean, the singles might be cheap, but like go out and try to find a pack right now.
the days of buying a box and packs, like I think that buying boxes and packs is for store owners
Mm,
and for people first trying to build a collection. Because once I was actually playing, I just bought the cards I needed because you're gonna save so much money.
it's true. You're not wrong.
Like I know that there are, you know, tournaments a lot of the time they'll have boxes as a prize and you can like, try to sell it or flip it or whatever or try to open up all the packs, see if you get something good, which is, almost always going to be negative value.
Yeah.
But like that's that's my thing. Like that's where it's at, and I think that they're trying to get people more interested in buying the packs because if players aren't buying the packs, where are the cards going to come from?
But speaking of, dailies and buying stuff, how's your Honkai Star Rail coming?
So during the last podcast, I talked about Zelda was coming out, and I wasn't sure if I was going to keep playing it because I was like, it seems fun now, but what about when I have other things to do? Am I still going to be playing it?
Yep.
So the answer is that I am still playing it. I am at the point now where I am fulfilling my daily stuff and progressing the story like on the weekends. So like during the week, I'll just, do the grind, um, get the dailies or the dailies, weeklies, and monthlies and the Game Pass stuff, and I just make sure I'm making progress on that.
Yep.
But in terms of progressing the story, not so much in short bursts, just because you have to actively be paying attention, and with my commute like an hour each way to work, like that's the time I would be doing it.
Right.
So I've I've still only invested 10 no like $20, 20 or $30 since the game came out at the end of April, and it's fun. I The loop that they have you go through, I think the RPG menu shit like doesn't bother me as much as it might bothers Chris.
Yeah.
Um, but like
Not my
working
thing.
through to get to the higher goal is fine for me. It's it's more when it gets to the point where if you don't pull the new unit, it sucks to play the game when
Mm.
is the frustrating part. But luckily, this is a PV the PVE.
Yeah. Player versus everyone.
Um, like it's a single player game. You're not playing with anybody else. You're just like have a friends list. So I'm able to progress through with the units I got. I got one of the last three featured units, and I'm okay with it because he's cool. He's
Nice.
good. Um, but I feel like if you go through those periods where you don't get the featured units the way the system is designed to have it happen, I think your percentage off of each pull is less than 1%, but a
Ugh.
10 pull is 6%, right?
Oh. Yeah.
So when you do it that way, I wonder where the burnout level gets because I'm not really interested in spending a significant amount of money on this.
I could have. Well, so you can progress the story without getting the guys, or is it just really hard to do if you don't get the guys?
So there's a tier list, and you don't necessarily have to have all the best characters. Um, I think that I was fortunate and got a good, like the guy that I got was pretty good. He's able to carry me, but you can play through the game with the characters they give you, no problem.
Oh.
You're just gonna progress slower, and I
Interesting.
and I think it's one of those FOMO things
Yeah.
because these characters, it's not like when I played Dokkan where it's like, oh, I know the characters, I remember these moments. Like you're meeting these characters as you progress through the game. So there's something about the story of those characters and wanting to include them in your party and then frustration of not getting
Not.
them.
Oh yeah, that would be frustrating.
And like the most important story characters are always like, the 5-star characters. Every 10 pull you're guaranteed at least a 4-star, right?
Hmm.
And not a 5. And the 4-star characters a lot of the time are the side characters, right?
Oh
And not that they're
man.
bad.
Yeah.
They have their own unique stuff. Like it, I'm not saying they're bad characters, but the top tier characters are always going to be those 5-star characters, and each character has like different kinds of equipment. Like you have like what is it called? I think it's called a cone or something like I can't remember what it's called. But like one that's like ideal for them, but there's also the free to play ones, right? And they're not crazy worse, but having the one that's specifically designed for the character is always going to be better.
Right.
So it, I think because there's not a lot of comparison, like I'm not watching fucking streams about it. I don't think it's making me spend money. I'm
You're
not
you're like kind
my
of having your
TikTok,
own personal experience with the game. You're not in the hype train that everyone
the
is with
the
Honkai.
the Star Rail hype train.
Is that what it's called?
Well, it's literally a train.
Yeah, that's the
Uh,
Honkai type train.
no, no, like the Star Rail. It's like you're on a train going
Oh,
through space.
I see. Interesting.
Um, but I think because I'm sort of experiencing it in a vacuum, and I'm aware enough to understand whether or not certain characters are good and
Hmm.
worth investing in, I think helps me control my spending on it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's fun. It is very flashy. It is very flashing lights.
Oh yeah, from what you showed me, it looks like it's gonna freaking kill you. There's so much going on the screen, and it's consistent, and it's at 5 times speed. It's like this creates ADHD. This is how it's created.
Oh, but I'm doing like auto battling
Oh
like
yeah.
the entire time. Like I'm
Hmm.
not like unless it's like a big fight where I actually pay attention. I'm like doing the auto battling, and you do a lot of time where you're getting the progression through menus and like leveling characters up and their equipment up, and that becomes its own reward, right? Like that's how you're gonna get the dopamine,
Hmm.
like that sense of accomplishment instead of it being like, well, if I don't beat this event, then it sucks. This game sucks. And the way the game is kind of tiered, even when you're at lower levels, like you haven't progressed the story, you still have access to higher tiers of that lower level content.
Well, you mean you got to be getting your dopamine somewhere, right? Because it doesn't seem like you're getting it from Zelda every time I talk to you about it.
I mean, so I have been playing Zelda. I bet that I have maybe, I want to guess 10, 12 hours. No, it's probably more than that. I bet I have under 20. And I think the game's been out like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Um, and the problem is that I disagree with the way that Nintendo sort of built the game. Like they it feels very much that they forced you into playing the game long term in order to get access to the game. Like so much of the game is restricted behind your ability to build, where in the last game you were mostly restricted by your stamina more than anything, at least
Hmm.
in my experience.
And like the
And
abilities that you could use with your Zora tablet. What do they call it?
I don't even remember.
I don't either. But
But yeah, the tablet.
mhm.
Whereas this, it's so built around being able to make the machines and stuff like that. And I have the smart building. I
Mhm.
got the smart building already. I stumbled upon where, no, I didn't stumble upon. I went to look for it. Um, I was trying to remember if I just walked in that area, but like even with the smart building, the fact that it takes you so much ore to get more batteries is so frustrating.
Yeah, it sounds
Like
like the way you make it sound like is it's like they inflated the game with with like a grind almost.
that's 100% what it is because you know what? This is a single player game. I used the dupes that were available
Yeah, I
and I
mean,
fucking got all the batteries because I am not going to be restricted because oh, Nintendo doesn't want us to progress through the game quickly and doesn't want us to have fun. They want us to gradually build up to it, right? Like I don't no.
well,
That's
I
not going to
think
happen.
that's the problem I've had with every Nintendo game I've played recently. All of the Kirby ones, Animal Crossing, Pokemon, like no matter it might be the limitations of the Switch and the fact that it can't play large games, but like or maybe it can't have large amounts of data on those little things. But yeah, I've blasted through every Switch game I've bought in less than like 30, 40 hours of game time, which is pretty abysmally low for today's standards.
I mean, that's like the length of an RPG.
Maybe less than. I don't know, because
Yeah,
like
I would say probably
it was
less than.
probably a
I
lot less actually.
so here's the thing. I feel like your point about it being like Star Rail being like for ADHD stuff
Hmm.
is 100% I understand. You want flashing colors, all that stuff for it. And
It's very
to
dopamine
credit
based.
to credit Nintendo, I understand that you want longevity for your game.
Hmm.
But for me, who's trying to play the main games, it is not it is not a selling point for the game for me for it to take a long time.
So let me ask: can you progress through the main storyline without getting the without doing the grind?
I think that you have to do one of the two grinds. You either have to find all of that ore or you have to do the shrines. Like the game, it feels less forgiving than the first one in terms of how easy it is to kill you.
I see.
Especially when you have low life and you're just it feels very much like Final Fantasy 1 where you just wander into an area you're not supposed to be and then there's like a fucking dragon there
You're like,
and it fucking
oops.
kills you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're like it's not very satisfying because there were no signs, right? You just walked into this area and you didn't know that it was going to be like this. Like it feels very Souls like, and I didn't like that about the game. And like there isn't, the game gives you some direction. Like it does the same thing it did before where it showed you the four areas you're supposed to go to, but in terms of the progression, they told you to go to the Rito area first, which I did. And then I went to the next area, the Zora place.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm at the Goron area.
So you've
But
done a
like I
couple.
still don't,
You've done a couple dungeons, right?
yeah, the dungeons are not long.
Oh, I was
Like
just
the
about to
the
ask you.
dungeons are they're very short.
So, like, my context for the last like long Zelda game I've played, I think might have been Wind Waker. I skipped Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess.
The days of you being in the dungeon for, like a few days, like a few days,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in your real life,
That's
right?
what I think. Yeah, I always think of long, like Ocarina of Time dungeons were hell. Like,
No, in fact the last two dungeons kind of felt like the 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 progression was about you getting there. And because
mhm.
this place is built way more with the belief of, traversal in three dimensions, right? Like there's a lot of platforming for you
Right.
to get up to these places now because they're almost all in the sky.
Hmm.
And it leads to like a lot of situations where it's like, okay, well, I have to glide perfectly. And then there's been times where I've gotten hit and got knocked all the way down and had to go all the way from the bottom and lost like 20 minutes of progress because it took me 40
Ooh.
minutes to get to the top of this place. And what are those games that people are playing where they're like just trying to like climb up the things, like
I know which ones.
Jump King, like those kind of
Yeah, yeah.
games?
Like, Get Over It.
Yeah, it feels like that, and it's like this is not what I signed up for. And here's the thing, like I brought up this point about the the game being long is not an incentive for me, right?
Right.
Whereas 20 years ago would have super been an incentive, right? Because I would only get, maybe 4 or 5 games over the year, right? Whereas now I'll get 4 or 5 games in 2 months
Hmm.
and not be able to finish it. I didn't finish God of War. I didn't finish Horizon when it came out. I probably won't finish Zelda before Final Fantasy comes out
Yeah.
this next week. So it's these games sort of get pushed by the wayside, and I feel like I'm a fucking game reviewer because I don't have the time to really dive to give to these games because I mean, for lack of a better word, we're putting out content. I'm we're doing D&D. I have my own shit to deal with on the side.
Yep.
Like
Well, I mean,
priorities are becoming different as we're getting older, and there's just not enough time
yeah. No, I,
to
I
pursue
agree.
everything. The same way we were talking about Marvel Snap, Magic the Gathering, like you have to pick a priority, and when you're trying to prioritize everything, you're not able to accomplish really anything.
So I think
So,
that's a good transfer to talk about this time sync that I'm actually playing now, which is I
bathroom fighter.
be, what'd you call it?
Bathroom fighter?
Bathroom fighter? No, that is definitely
Huh?
not what it's called. All right,
Yeah. No, I mean what you're
it's
doing.
called porcelain pummeler. Okay, no. So I mean, we both bought Diablo 4. Let's say it. I mean, I feel like this whole gaming conversation we've had has had some continuity, right? And the continuity is, as an adult, how much time and how much are you willing to invest into playing a game? And it's like, for me, it's important that it's low commitment and low cost. Because I don't have a lot of money to involve, and I like to have the time to play it, but there are times where I'm pulled away from things. So that's and I need something that like if I don't play it 2 days in a row, I'm not going to be severely punished, right? And so we both got Diablo 4.
See, I feel like we're very different about these things.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I want a game to be between 10 and 20 hours and then that be it.
Yeah.
I'm paying for the experience, like the long term. Like I would rather it be intense than not.
20 really crazy hours of just like everything you want in it. Like, well, that's why I like games like Rogue Genesia or like Slay the Spire, where it's like those are low commitment too, though, and they're not really storyline based. But like you can choose to invest your time into it and get something out of it. You know?
But like I understand what those games are, and those games were, a lull in the time for me to play games, or we weren't playing D&D, all that stuff.
Right. And so like we're both playing Diablo 4, and I think the
Well,
big thing to say. Go ahead.
give your impression.
Okay, so like first impressions, I think it's a fun game. It's a good game, but it's really the problem is it's not anything new. And I think Blizzard is very aware that they don't have to innovate to trap people in the gameplay loop. Like and I feel like a $70 price tag with in-game purchases is predatory.
I I don't think so, because the in-game stuff is not to the level of a free-to-play game. It's not even close.
Like what do you mean?
L-
It's
Like the microtransactions are not nowhere near the level
Oh
of a
yeah.
free-to-play game.
Right, right. I mean, the game you cannot spend an extra. You can spend the $70, which is what I'm planning on doing. I'm not going to spend another penny past 70, and you still get the full experience out of the game.
But you're not playing with other people. And it's the same thing I was talking about with Star Rail, right? You don't have to compare yourself to everybody, and you can just have your own experience.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. I mean, I would like to play with other people too, and I feel like a lot of the like it's not required to play with other people, and the game isn't necessarily improved by playing with other people. Like the game itself isn't improved. The experience of playing it can be improved because you're playing with your friends and it makes the game a little easier. But I don't think the core gameplay loop requires cooperative play in any way.
I was listening to the Drop Frames podcast, and they said that this game is essentially Destiny. They Destinified the this these games. Like that's
Mhm.
what it is. Like it's 100%. It's a looter shooter. That's 100% what it is. And I
Oh
mean, it's
yeah.
always been. It was like that before.
Oh yeah, Diablo
And
was like the first looter shooter. It's like it was all
but there
about
but
that.
there's no innovation, right? This game
Yeah,
feels very safe. It feels like a very 8 out of 10 game for me.
I feel like
But
8 out of 10 is a little generous. When you're like it's bad because you were like I don't really like it. I don't know if I'm gonna keep playing it. It's like yeah, I mean,
oh, I can almost guarantee you that when Final Fantasy comes out on Friday, I am not going to be playing Diablo.
oh yeah, I believe
Like
it.
I'll probably end up playing Diablo later.
Yeah.
And when I have, like, oh, I'll play Diablo for a little bit, because so little background. I have my own health conditions, and literally have like carpal tunnel. So like sitting on the computer clicking around and tapping the buttons for that long is not super great for my wrists.
Yeah, long
And
form grinding games like that.
so like my enjoyment is also tied to that.
Mhm.
So it's just like I think it's 8 out of 10. It seems well done.
Mhm.
Everything seems polished. I haven't had any issues.
Yep, me either.
And like it seems okay. They didn't innovate anything. They didn't change anything. I feel like I'm playing Diablo 3 with a different story.
I mean, exactly. Like I bought the Diablo 2 remake when they did the D2 remake for the same reason. I wanted something to play, and it was $40. And it's like playing this one, I'm like, you know what? I could have paid $40 for this one and been completely happy. I don't feel like I don't have like. There's no FOMO, right? My FOMO was not being able to play with my friends, and it was like I feared that they would over level me and then I wouldn't get to play. And then it turned out like I literally played strong for maybe 2 or 3 days and I've over leveled everyone else. And it's like, well, I guess the
Well,
game.
well, well, but what about this? Like, how much time have you put in 3 days?
I'd have to look, but it's got to be. It's a lot of idle time too, because it's like I just don't want to leave the servers just in case. But
Okay, but I mean, even saying progressing the story, because you're already the cap is 100.
I know I'm 33 and I just finished Act 2 and I try to do
And,
every side quest that I get before I do the main quest.
and what would the experience have been like if you were still working?
It would have been a lot slower, that's for sure. I mean, I might have not bought it if I wasn't working. The only reason I bought it is because I knew I had a lot of extra time to do something, and the only thing that was occupying my time was Marvel Snap.
I almost think that there would have been even more FOMO had you still been in class and at work.
Yeah, if I was still in school and still working and everyone else was playing, I mean, definitely would have been some FOMO. And then that would have been the original fear is like, oh, well, I'll never be caught up with the levels. And I hate that feeling. That's why I don't play MMOs, is because like I feel so out of my depth in like menuing and understanding how everything works. And like you join, then your friend's like, yeah, I'll power level you. And then it's just like, wait, but I can't. I have to do these 10 levels of blah, blah, blah. One thing I do really enjoy about Diablo, you start it, you go. There's like 2 inches of tutorial. There's 1 inch of like depth to the menus and this everything out. Like everything is put right in front of you. It's very simple, and that's also a flaw, though. I feel like too. That's the problem.
I honestly feel like the game is kind of menu helly
You do?
in terms of like, okay, we have to go to the maps. We have to. I think it's more that it's the way the keyboard is designed.
I hate the
What?
controls in Diablo. Me and Zach were both literally just trying to switch our controls around today, right before we started the podcast.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, it's been a little while since I played an RPG. It has RPG controls, but it doesn't have the ability to explore like an RPG. Like it's super top down, and I'd rather be able to move WASD. And I played Diablo 3 and I played Diablo 2, so I
Yep.
know we're not supposed to get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're like at the point where like because of the way the screen is restricted and what is it, that Act 1 boss,
Mm-hmm.
the Blood Lake thing, there's too many things in that area and you're trying to like move around and you end up clicking on things and it gets you stuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
Totally.
like why am I being penalized for that when I'm trying to move? Like so
Well,
it's user error because I'm not as
that's like
precise about where I'm clicking.
I think that brings me back to like my original point about Blizzard kind of being lazy and predatory about knowing people are going to get stuck in this gameplay loop and they don't have to innovate a lot. It's because it's like, think about the new Street Fighter game. They invented a whole new control set to help modernize and bring people in. Sure, it's a lot easier and sure, everyone is using it, but like, that's what they could have done with this game. All they needed to do was like add a little bit more because like, you can play it with the controller. It does have controller and keyboard support, but like don't limit it. Don't limit it for the sake of tradition, right? Like because this is what way it was played before, you know? Because we don't have to innovate. We shouldn't innovate. We're scared to innovate, whatever the reason is.
Like
Allow us to innovate. Like,
you know what it is? I want it to be Gauntlet and it's not.
yeah, I mean, Gauntlet was what better. Even the original Gauntlet, though, or the newest Gauntlet that I played, I think I had more fun with that when Diablo 4 3
Like
came
what
out.
why can't we not have the Gauntlet controls like to play the game?
It'd be too simple. They would have to come.
How is it too simple? You only have 6 skills.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with you completely, but
that's
like,
the number of buttons. Like
yeah.
what else do I need to do? Like it's that I need to be able to click on something. And like this could be like fucking boomer talk here. It's just that is my personal feeling about the game.
Yeah,
If I had thought about it and remembered that Final Fantasy was coming out, probably wouldn't have bought it.
yeah, you got suckered in by the cool crowd. They were like, "Yeah, come on, get the devil game, Zach."
No, I don't think that's how it was.
And you're like, "No, I'm a good Christian boy," and they were like, "Come on, just one wacky tobacco cigarette."
I
No,
feel
you
like you're projecting about like how you grew up. Is this how it happened?
Yeah, the devil came to me, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, rock and roll," and the
And
rest
then
is history.
you're like, yeah, mom, give me that wacky tobacco.
I mean, no, but you know, that's not how it happened.
Like I'm low 20s, I think 22, 23 right now. I will be surprised if I get to 40.
Yeah,
It's just I'm prioritizing other things. I'm moving. Like I'm the one DMing for our D&D campaign right now, It is. There's just not a lot of free time.
Yeah.
And
Well, 30 is the real slowdown point, too. That's your choke point. I thought 20 was, but then when I hit 30, I was like, oh, yuck.
it's like Pokemon.
Yeah.
When you're like, I'm 30, but you don't have any of the cool moves. You have like all the low level moves.
You're like, I finally got my third evolution. And you're like, how much game is left?
And like you said, you're only on Act 2 and you're 33.
I've been doing all the, like, if I beat this game, it's going to be because I need a time sink, not because I am truly enjoying it or I'm enraptured by the game or the gameplay loop. It's because point, click, brain turn off for a little bit.
Well, for me, I just think that in terms of time sync games, Star Rail does it better in a short period, and I can play Dokkan when I'm at work.
True.
Like, the incentive for me to play a game like this that is purely dopamine based is very low. Like, it was cool when I got like unique gear and stuff, but didn't really change anything for me because I think it's not really my kind of game.
I enjoy the aesthetic. That's another part I enjoy. So it's like I do enjoy like, oh, the angels and the devils and who's deceiving who and like everything's kind of Hellraiser-y. You know, I like that. But
watch out, viewers! It's getting a little too edgy in here.
Yeah, I know.
He might get cut.
Yeah, Hieronymus Bach is edgy. Bosch or Bach? I don't remember. But
is that what your character's name is?
Yeah, no, that's a famous painter. God, you're so uncultured, Zach. Just watching Fate's Day, you know. You don't listen like Alexandro Trotsky, the famous Russian dark painter.
No, I'm good.
I made that name up. It was believable though, right?
No. You just like stuttered over it.
I was trying. All right, well, we need to move on. We've been spending an awful long time talking about video games. Let's see. What do we have left here?
Chris has 5 minutes to talk about 5 things, and I'm gonna hit the start button right when he says, and on your screen there'll be a timer right now.
And on your screen, there will be a timer right now. So I have 5 minutes from this point to talk about the 4 movies I saw, and if I have some leftover time, I get a bonus round. I saw the 2 It's Always Sunny movies. Actually, you know what? That's how I'll block it. I saw the 2 It's Always Sunny movies, and I saw the It's Always Sunny premiere. And if you want a big wrap-up of everything, those guys are getting old. I love them to death, but oh my god, are they getting old and a little burnt out.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't mean it. Go.
Oh, yeah, taking my time, Zach. How dare you? No, we can talk about it after. But Blackberry was very good. It was incredibly riveting. I didn't give a shit about the premise at all, but about 20 minutes in, I was completely invested. Everyone plays their characters so well, and it's so simply written, and the fact that it's something that actually happened makes it even more exciting, because you're like, well, how did it happen? Oh, I didn't know, you know, I was completely surprised that out of the 3, the premiere and Fool's Paradise and Blackberry was my favorite. Fool's Paradise was like, I think in the Sunny podcast he talked about writing the script for a really long time and having like a lot of reshoots and everything. I just really wasn't a fan of it. It was very Hollywood niche, like think Oscar bait kind of stuff, and I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. It was the main character doesn't speak, and so it's just, you know, Charlie Day emoting, and I don't know, it was a miss. And then the premiere itself was also kind of lackluster to start. Not really a lot of laugh out loud moments. I think the funniest thing was the prosthetics they used in the first episode and the shots they got from that. I don't know. I think the best thing they're doing is the podcast, and it's only because you get to be involved behind the scenes and kind of know how it came to be. But I also think the podcast is detrimental. It's making them too self-aware. Speaking of self-aware, though, I saw Fast X, which was my favorite movie of the summer so far. Better than Dungeons and Dragons, better than everything else. I loved freaking Fast X, just all of the explosions and ridiculous characters, and oh man, family, just so much family. Yeah, I mean, like, if you're gonna see a movie, go see Fast X. And one thing, it's a 2-parter. That's right. There's gonna be a second Fast X 2. They couldn't resolve it. It's the Infinity War of the Fast series. It's so ridiculous. Like, They're trying to turn frickin' Vin Diesel into a saint. They're calling him Saint Toretto. Saint Toretto. I know Zach is listening, but he's got himself muted. But I'm really wondering what he thinks of all this. But then the last movie I saw The Boogeyman, which was Stephen King's new movie.
I'm watching Demon Slayer clips while you're talking.
How dare you? But yeah, I saw the Boogie King movie. The Boogeyman movie by Stephen King. It's the Boogie King movie now. And there was no boogieing in that movie at all. No one was dancing. It was very depressing. It's kind of odd, and it was just like, I don't know why in every movie they're like, okay, we're gonna be the worst therapists ever. Like, we're gonna be the worst doctors ever. And it's like, God, none of this would actually happen in real life. Like, there's so much HIPAA violations and so much unethical practices happening right now. And it's, it's to set up the movie. And that's a big problem I think I have with horror movies, is like, you have to kind of just suspend a lot of disbelief to get on board with the premise, and also to be scared at all by it. And so I wasn't scared by the movie or the premise, and it was kind of like, oh, it's mental health veiled by this monster, but then they turned it into an actual monster, and then they killed it at the end. And I was like, oh, you know what would have been cool? If it turned into like a Monster Hunt movie where it's like, we gotta get this fucking thing. It kind of did in the middle, but that's what I wanted the whole movie to be after that point. And, I don't know, was that 4 minutes? 5 minutes? Did I do it? I think I did it in 4 minutes. I mean, it was
4:05.
4:05. All right, for the last 45 seconds, I just want to say, go watch Barry if you haven't watched if you're looking for like a TV series to watch. Barry is very, very good. Bill Hader, he's the writer, the main actor in it, and I don't know, it was just very good. I liked watching it. It's a very unique show. It has a very unique tone to it. That's it. I'm done.
Are you sure?
I think so. That's it.
Positive?
Yeah. I think I don't have anything else to talk about. I was going to watch Battle Royale. Hey! The Battle Royale movie got put on the streaming service, so I was going to watch that. I haven't watched that in a long time.
It's my turn, everybody. It's my turn to go on with a song. This is the least smooth transition. I assume this came out yesterday because this is when I found out about it. Mm-hmm. And my TikTok will normally send me this stuff. But, so... the original lead singer of Chiodos released I want to say it's a cappella, but it's a very different sounding version of Baby You Wouldn't Last a Minute on the Creek.
Uh-oh.
And I heard it yesterday, and it was just very eerie. So...
all right, I'm actually interested in this. It's the original Chiodos singer, so is it Craig Owens, or was he the...
Yep, yeah, yep. It's Craig Owens.
Yeah.
So it's on his channel. He's credited separately from Chiodos.
I don't think he works with Chiodos anymore, does he? We were talking yesterday, like, you could pretty much search...
It's pronounced Jenny Craig.
Jenny Craig. That's the diet. That's what they were eating. But yeah, we were talking yesterday, like, you can pretty much search, like, anyone's name from that era and then put controversy after it, and you'll find something. So we're going to link it.
You want to watch the video instead?
Yeah, so we'll watch the video, and then we'll be right back. So we're going to pause it, and we'll be back after the video. Okay, we're now back from our watch of Craig Owens' performance of Baby You Wouldn't Last a Minute on the Creek. And my initial thoughts were, oh, okay, this is going to be a remake of Baby You Wouldn't Last a Minute on the Creek, but just, acoustic piano version. And that's pretty much exactly what it was. I was not surprised in any way by what I heard.
No, I think it was just like, so I heard, for those of you at home, I heard this song the first time yesterday. So, this version. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, it's so eerie to hear this. And I mean, we talked about it, like, while we were listening to it, about, like, it's something about, like, the natural echo of the room. It sounds so eerie to listen to it.
It's a nice,
like, almost like it's in a church, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a natural reverb, and he's definitely in some sort of empty hall. And so he's getting the natural reverb of both his voice echoing off of the walls and the piano echoing off of the walls. They are separate tracks, and they did do a good job of blending it, but I still noticed it. So I was like, gotcha.
Well, it is the church of the emo and post-hardcore scene, right?
With Craig Owens as the preacher. It kind of makes sense because I think he's a... No, I don't know. I'm gonna
How
bleep
would
that.
you know?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Hang on, I'm gonna look up Craig's Owen controversy right now. We have to do it. Craig Owens controversy.
Admitted to use one behind the internet gossip about a sex tape featuring him and porn actress Raven Alexis.
Is a full blown, and he leaked it himself. What happened to Craig? So, what are some specific reasons on Reddit? Here we go. People don't like Craig Owens. I don't know. He says he struggled with things. I think he had drug problems.
They all did.
Yeah.
Are you ready? You ready, Chris?
Yep.
You ready for me to tell you about his estimated net worth?
No, I don't want to know.
I've heard there's two vastly different numbers on here. One of them says I see anywhere between 3 and 57 million.
Jesus.
But I mean, that's including homes and stuff, right? So
Yeah, it's gotta be
a while ago.
That's the home they recorded the video in for sure. That's all his net worth now.
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, it was a pretty good song. I mean, I mean, the performance was solid. It was nicely mastered, and it was like dead on Craig Owens. Craig Owens hasn't lost any of his vibe. It sounded like straight up Chiodos from what would that be? 15 years ago now.
I think it's about 15 years ago. Because he left the band, I think, in 2011.
Yeah,
I want to say. But Chris, he's not even 40.
I know. Wow, really? That's impressive. That's impressive, Craig Owens. I mean, he's going to be the next one to comment on our podcast. So.
Oh my god. Well, what are you gonna do? Well, say whatever you're gonna say to him now,
Mr. Craig Owens. Can I be in your Chiodos band?
You're like, but you're not gonna. But you have to tell him what you beeped out, because I feel like the fact that you beeped out that thing means you said something really not nice.
I made an assumption based on the rest of the people in the pop punk and post-hardcore genre, and I apologize for making the blanket statement.
Are you talking about Story of the Year?
Was it them? No, it was it Lost Prophets who had the guy who was like just like a terrible, awful human being? Yeah, it was Lost Prophets. Yeah, he was a
The day I die. Oh, that's what you said about Craig Owens? Come on, Chris.
Oh man, no, I didn't say that. Oh, Mr. Owens, I'm sorry. Please put me in your fancy Chiodos music video.
He'll dance.
I'll dance for you. I'll dance.
You're like, I'll play the piano and you can sing.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I thought it was good. Like, I think it was, but I've been more on listening to a lot of music from that time period.
It made me want to listen to Chiodos. Like, I was like, oh man, I really want to hear Baby You Wouldn't Last a Minute on the Creek.
On the Crick.
But you know what I would really love to hear is a remastered version of that album. Because like, if you go back and you listen to it, it's still kind of rough.
You don't want to listen to the 192 KB audio?
Yeah. But I bet like a remastered version of that album would be really good.
Yeah, I think it's like back then it's like it was just so raw, and like having the cracks happen.
Not only that, but the instrumentation in that band was really good too. They were really creative. Like just having the piano in there was something like not a lot of bands were doing. And not only that, they weren't just like, okay, here it is. They were like, okay, here's the piano. We're going to be fucking dramatic about this shit.
Wow, I thought they would have more listens.
Really?
Than they do. Song is their number one song, and they don't even have 30 million.
Wow, that isn't a lot.
They have almost 500 total. Oh no, they have 500K monthly listeners. I thought it would be a lot higher. Like not even like I wasn't super into Chiodos. Like I've heard these songs,
right?
But like they're not, on my Mount Rushmore for me. But like I just, based on how popular they were, I would assume maybe it is that 3 million. Maybe it is 3 million, Chris.
Yeah, it's just the house. Yeah. They were valuing his house from the music video.
So, I mean, if you guys haven't seen it, don't go watch the video.
Just listen to it. Yeah, I would suggest listening to it.
Go to Spotify and listen to it.
I mean, unless you're like really want to relive your glory days. Maybe if you're like still pop punk, maybe if you have neck tattoos, you want to watch it. But
I mean, I feel like that was one of the most distracting things about it. Like when I saw the snake tattoo on his neck, I was like, Jesus Christ.
It was for me. It was the throwing up the gang signs while he was singing a ballad. I mean, it just didn't go for me.
Well, the song's good. You know, it doesn't matter who he is. Voice is still fine. The music was fine.
Yeah, it was all right.
All right, everybody. So next podcast probably come out in 4 weeks. It'll mostly probably be me talking about
Final Fantasy.
Final
16.
Fantasy, Final Fantasy 16. You know, probably the rebranding is probably going to happen then.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that.
Chris will say something really inappropriate about the post-hardcore emo scene singers.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what I've done.
Yeah,
I've talked trash on every sort like scene of music except prog. Like, yeah, check out this prog band, but everything else sucks.
Yeah, like he's gonna say something really out of pocket, and then they're gonna be like, ugh. But if you like that out of pocket content, be sure to turn into our Resident Evil or P3 plays Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, we're getting
a lot
through
of
it.
Out of pocket things.
Oh my god, that is the. If you really want to get in, we're getting a little too comfortable in that setting, and we're letting some stuff fly. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you are still here, and if you are listening to the podcast, let us know if there's anything that we missed that you'd like us to cover. We pretty much, our format is like anime, video games, movies, music. We're hitting the 4 big media sections. So
mash that like button. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, talking about how, you know, who your favorite host is. We know you don't have to put it. I know. But if you guys could put Chris's name there at least once so he can like feel good about himself, that'd be great.
I mean,
thanks everybody.